Hey everyone, and welcome to another Star Wars Games Update, where we bring you all of the latest and greatest in Star Wars gaming news. Today we've got a mixture of some good news and bad news. Good news is, if you're a fan of the Jedi Fallen Order games and want to see EA put out even more exactly like that one, well, then you're in luck. But at the same time, if you're someone looking forward to Star Wars Hunters, then unfortunately there is some bad news to share on that front, but also sprinkled with a little bit of good news too, so it's not all that bad. And in addition to all of this, we're also going to be going over an upcoming project that seeks to bring classic pod racing to the modern gaming age with a big focus on online multiplayer too. And before we get into any of that, a quick reminder that if you do like these type of videos, then be sure to give it a like to show your support for this update series and the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Even though EA Play Live this year didn't go as many of us had expected for Star Wars game announcements, especially with there not even being an official confirmation from EA regarding a sequel or prequel in the works for Jedi Fallen Order. And we, funny enough, had to wait a week later for an EA earnings call for them to even mention this game, where they quickly said that they would continue to invest in the Jedi Fallen Order franchise. Which, okay, sounds great, but what exactly does this mean since it's, kinda broad? Is this EA's way of telling us that they're working on a Jedi Fallen Order 2 since they want to invest in a sequel after how well the first one did? Well, yes and no, because as it turns out, the answer to this may be even better than what we originally anticipated. As Jordan Mason, one of the most well-known leakers and media journalists in the entertainment space, quickly pointed out in response to this by implying that EA are working on more than a sequel to Fallen Order, but are actually making multiple Jedi games in the process behind the scenes. And before you ask, yes, Jordan is very credible and has been right about a lot of these things in the past. So it's definitely worth hearing what he's got to say about this thanks to all of his inside sources. Now, since the start, I've been saying it was quite clear that this would be a game series rather than one or two games, as the actual game was called Star Wars Jedi, with Fallen Order being only the specific title to the first game in the series. So the sequel will be called Star Wars Jedi something something, rather than Jedi Fallen Order 2, if you know what I mean. Kind of like what LucasArts did back in the day with their own Jedi series, like Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, you get the idea. Except this is of course EA's own take on the series of Jedi games, so for the multiple Jedi games EA may be working on, well then one would very likely be a sequel to the Fallen Order story, but for the rest of them, well, they could easily be prequels to Fallen Order, or maybe follow a completely different Jedi and story altogether, as the series is called Star Wars Jedi and not Star Wars Cal Kestis after all. Either way, this is definitely exciting news for fans of Fallen Order, and to know that we're getting not one, but multiple games is very exciting. Another company that also revealed some big information recently during an earnings call is Zynga regarding Star Wars Hunters. Last week I reported on the possibility that the upcoming game may be in trouble, especially with September almost here and we still haven't seen anything about the game. Not to mention with delays to the promised gameplay reveal and so many recent job postings being put up for Hunters. And well, we finally heard something new about Hunters, and it's not exactly the best news. According to a Zynga's earning call, Hunters will now be officially delayed to a 2022 release. But there's still some good news to share, as despite this delay, we'll still get to see and play Hunters this year, as it will be getting a soft launch in 2021, which could mean it will be playable in select countries first, or that it will release on the Switch first, like the rumors before suggested. In addition to this, we also know the main reason for the delays the game keeps seeing, and that's because they want to keep adding more to it than originally planned, along with making sure both the console and mobile versions are at the same high quality and performance. Here's a quick listen to what Zynga had to say about Hunters in their earnings call.
Yeah, Hunters will go into test in Q4. It's more likely to release in the early part of 2022. The game's doing really well, but we'd like to get it into test and see what we hear and learn. And we're adding a lot of new features because of the early response has been so positive on iOS, Android, and Switch. We're very excited by the reaction that we're seeing right now on Hunters from not only our first-party teams, but also from the consumer testing that we're doing. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the testing material tells us in Q4, but we're very excited to get those games out.
So there we have it. Hunters apparently is looking and playing real good, and that alone is a good sign for me. And the fact that Zynga still wants to add more to it, along with getting more testing done to ensure a smooth launch, is very assuring to hear. And I'm glad Zynga are treating this game seriously, as they should. Finally, I wanted to talk about yet another pretty cool fan project in the works. Last week we featured Star Wars Redemption, which itself is a very ambitious project. But the fan project we're looking at this week feels like an absolute blast from the past, but with online. Meet Podracer 2021, a modern take of the classic Episode 1 Podracer game for the N64. Created by one developer, Ash Hari, he claims that while he loved the original game, like many of us did, he still wanted to play a modern version of it with better graphics, audio, and most of all, online multiplayer. So, seeing nothing like that would officially be coming out in the horizon, Ash decided to instead take it upon himself and create a fully working online multiplayer Podracer game from scratch. And guess what? He did exactly that, and the game is not only working, but you can download it today yourself and play online with your friends. Something that many of us had always wanted to do and finally can. Now, it should be stated that Ash's Podracer project is still in the early phase of development, so you know what that means by now. It's gonna have some bugs, some missing visuals, and the UI is still very temporary. But hey, most important of all is that it still works, and you can play with up to 4 players via online or LAN. Unfortunately, as of right now, it is an online-only game, so that means there's no AI in it right now. But if Ash's project sees enough support and love from the community, then who knows? The possibilities really can be endless here. And that will do it for this Star Wars Games update. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but to keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.